Okay, I've got two cars working. The only issue being the cars don't collide. So that's something I want to fix. Also, if the cars go off the screen, then we lose both of them. So that's not good either. So I'm just going to make a couple tweaks here. So the first thing is under project properties, I'm going to change the window size a bit. So that's going to affect this dotted line here. So let's make that, I don't know. What can I make that? Maybe 900. Let's try that. I gotta make it even bigger than that. 1200 by 800. Let's try something like that. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit better, but it is still possible to get lost. What I'd probably want to do eventually is figure out a way to have it zoom out once both players leave the track area. Yeah, that's probably the best I'll get right now. Either that, or you could just have the track fit on one screen and not have scroll to. Okay, so there's a couple of things you could do there. What I'm going to do now is add solid behavior to each car. Okay, that just means that when I hit the other car, then I don't just go right through him. I'm going to bounce off him. So it just means that you can be a little bit more competitive because you could actually get in someone's way. Okay, and just a couple more things. I've got to add a finish line. I'm going to call that finish. And then what I want to do, guys, is set up a point partway through the lap. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you could just keep crossing this back and forth and then rack up your laps. So I'm going to create one more symbol, or one more sprite, sorry. And I'm going to make it like a bright green. This is going to be a hidden one again. And I'm going to call this lap check or something like that. All right, so I got to set up a couple events for my finish line and my lap check. So let's do that right now. So let's set up a global variable. We'll call it player1 lap. Let's say P1 lap. We'll call this P2 lap. And then we'll add a variable called P1 lap check. Now there might be a better way to do this, but this is how I'm going to do it. P2 lap check. Okay, so we got variables. They're all starting at 0. And I'm going to say when player 1 is on collision with lap check, and I'm going to add another condition, and player 1 lap is equal to 0. So that means you haven't done 1 lap yet. And then I'm going to set the value of player 1 lap check to 1. Okay? Then when player 1 is on collision with the finish line, and I'm going to add another condition, and player 1 lap check is equal to 1, then I'm going to set the value of player 1 lap to 1. Okay, so it may be a little bit confusing, but basically what I'm doing is saying he has to cross this before he can cross this. Because otherwise what you can do is just kind of go back and forth over this finish line and just rack up points. Right, and that wouldn't be any good. So I want to add a couple of laps here. So I'm just going to let's just do the standard 3 laps. Okay. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. What I want to do here is let's just add a HUD layer, just like we did with the other one in the Ghost Shooter and the platform game. Zero, zero. I just want to add a text box to show the lap. So let's put that maybe up here. Okay, and actually I want 2 of those. So this is going to be player 1 lap. And I'll just put, this will change anyways, but just so you can see. P2 lap. Okay, and of course I have a black background, so I can't see that. So let's make this into white. Okay, so I see my player 1, player 2. I've just got to update that now. So I'm going to add a system event every tick. I'm going to update player 1 lap, so set value. Sorry, set text. Where's that here? Set text. And that's going to be player 1 lap. And I'm going to add in the global variable P1 lap. Okay, so you should see that now. Let's see if this works. Okay, so lap 1. Now let's just test something. If I try to just go back across, it shouldn't add a score. Okay, now technically what you could do is go backwards and hit that center point by going back around the track, but that'd be kind of pointless. Okay, so if you're really worried about that, you could set up several different checkpoints that you have to cross in order. Okay, but this is fine for me for now. This is just a simple solution. Okay, now that that's working, I'm just going to copy this for player 2. I'm just adding some comments here just to keep it. Okay, there we go. Actually, it needs to be here. Is that right? Okay, so I've got player 1 working. So I'm just going to add actually, why don't I add a group? We'll call this player 1 laps. And then we'll call this player 2 laps. Okay, I think I can add these to the group. Yeah, there we go. So I can minimize that if I want to. So let's copy all these. I'm going to paste them inside of player 2. And all I have to do is just change all these instances to, actually I think I can right click and say replace object. So pick the object to replace. I want to replace player 1 with player 2. So let's do that for all of these. Okay, this is a little bit tedious, but it's probably faster than doing all of the code over again. Okay, then I also have to change this to P2 lap. And change all of these to P2 lap check. Okay, so that should do it. So we should have 2 working laps. The only thing that I didn't do is fix this one here. So let's make that P2 lap. And that should work.